Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm going to be creating this look for you guys right here in this tutorial, and it was done using a brand new Dose of Colors Eyedeal Duo Pigment and Cream Shadow sets. This is the most genius makeup product I have seen come out in a while, and I say that because normally when I create an eye look, I tend to pair certain shadows with different primers. So if it's a sparkly pigment or something with glitter, I try and use a darker base to really make it pop. And then if it's lighter, like a matte cream colored shadow, I use a different primer as well. So I always switch it up. And these guys are so genius because it has the pigment on one side and the cream shadow slash base on the other side. This is the one I use today. It's called Maple. It's just the most genius invention I've ever seen. So that way you don't have to try and find a primer for your shadows or your pigments. They're in one little compact like this. So this is, I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. This is incredible. Good job, Dose of Colors. So I'm going to be using these guys. I'm also going to be swatching the new Dose of Colors liquid lipsticks. They recently came out with 4 new colors. I'm wearing Mood right now, but at the end of the video, I'll swatch some of the other colors for you guys as well. So if you guys are interested and want to see how I create this look, keep on watching. I've already filled in my brows, so the first thing I'm going to do is prime my eyes with the Benefit Air Patrol Primer. And I'm using this guy because it's really lightweight, and I'm also going to be using the primer or cream shadow from the Dose of Colors Eyedeal Duo. And if I were to use a heavy primer plus that on top, it would feel like a lot. So I'm starting with this guy because it's really light. I'm going to give it a chance to dry before I go in with the cream shadow from the Eyedeal Duo. The color I'm going to be using is called Maple. It's like a really pretty brown, almost cranberry color, and I'm going to use a Zoeva 142 brush to buff the cream shadow side or the primer side onto the lid. Or it's more like copper now that I'm applying it to the lid, but in the container it looks like a cranberry bronzy color. Think of like a penny with a little more cranberry to it. So now I'm going to open up the other side with the loose pigment, and I'm going to dump some out on a napkin because I don't want it to get all over the cap, because I feel like it has like a, I don't know, I feel like it'd be really messy if you were to dump it out onto the cap because it's got like this weird rim. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera. And that is so pretty. It makes me not want to add any more shadow, but I am going to add some more color. I just really like the sparkles in this pigment. And I'm just kind of lightly packing it on over the cream shadow. Oops, I went a little crazy on this side. And I'm going in with the pigment first before adding any other color, just because while that creamy shadow is still a little tacky and wet, it's easy to stick the loose pigment onto that cream shadow. So now to blend out the edges of this shadow, I'm going to be using shadow number 16 from Morphe. I'll list in the description box below the actual names of the shadows. When I originally picked these up, they didn't have names, they just went by number. So I'm going to pick this up onto a Smith 230 brush and apply it to the crease to blend out this color. And I'm just going to soften out the edges of this shadow by dipping my Smith 232 brush into some loose powder. I'm using the Maybelline Shine Free powder, and I'm going to use that to blend out that shadow and soften up the look. To add a little bit more color, this next step is optional because you could totally leave it here. I think this by itself is really pretty. But I'm going to go in with a little more color. I'm going to be using shadow number 59 from Morphe. And I'm going to use a Smith 253 brush to apply it to the inner and outer corners, almost like a spotlight eye. And I'm also going to take shadow number 71 from Morphe. This one does have the name on it. It's called Secretive. And I'm going to use a Sigma E45 brush to blend out this really vibrant magenta color into the crease. And I'm again going to pick up that Smith 232 brush, the one I was using to first blend out the shadows, and I'm going to again blend around the edges. I'm really trying to maintain that shape of almost like a winged eyeshadow, which is why I'm using this guy. You guys know I love the Sigma E40, but it's really It's really big in comparison to this one. This one is tapered, so it does have a fine point, which makes it a little more precise when blending. And I'm just going to reapply some more of that loose pigment from the Maple Eyedeal Duo with that same Smith 247 brush, just to add a little more sparkle in the center of the lid. I'm going to leave the eyes here and work on the skin, and I am going to be using the Natasha Denona Face Glow Foundation. This guy is really dewy, really hydrating, so you don't necessarily need a primer with this foundation, even though I've done a tutorial using the primer. That's because I was trying to get a very editorial glow. If you guys are interested in that video, I'll link it somewhere right here. So I'm going to be using the Porefessional Matte Rescue Primer Gel just in the center of my forehead down to my nose where I get super oily. So I'm gonna let this guy dry, and then I'm gonna go in with the Face Glow Foundation. I'm gonna be applying it with a Zoeva 102 Silk Finish brush. I normally only use a brush with foundations that have this type of consistency, so it does feel like a tinted moisturizer, which is why I like using a kabuki brush. If not, you guys know I always use a beauty blender, but I just feel like when a product has this sort of texture, it's really great to buff and blend it in with a brush. Or even just your fingers too. For concealer, I'm going to be using Bye Bye Under Eye from IT Cosmetics in the shade Neutral Medium. I'm going to dispense it onto the back of my hand and warm it up before applying it to the area underneath my eyes with an IT Cosmetics No. 7 concealer brush. And I always take whatever's left over on my finger from blending the concealer and apply it to my skin so that I don't end up wasting it. To set underneath my eyes and other areas that are shiny, I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier powder and a Kogan Dough poof. I'm going to be bronzering, haven't used that term in a while, which is bronzing and contouring at the same time, with my Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion in the shade 20M and a Smith 118 brush. So hollows of the cheek, temples, jawline, and sides of the nose. And I'm switching to a Smith 230 brush to contour my nose. For a highlighter, I'm about to get real fancy pants on you guys. I'm going to be using my Dior Glowing Gardens illuminating powder. This illuminator is so beautiful. It looks like your skin is naturally glowing. Even though it's a powder highlighter, it looks like you have like a little bit of oil on your skin, and it's just so beautiful. It is really pricey, but this is one of those things that I will save for special occasions or some of my bridal clients or any big photo shoots. I mean, I'll probably end up buying another one just for my kit, but it is so, so beautiful. I'm using shade number 2 in Glowing Nude, and I'm gonna apply it to the high points of my face using a Smith 112 brush. And to make it up to you guys, because I went super high end with the illuminator, I'm gonna go super low end with my NYX Nude To Me blush. These are their new, oh wait, what are they called? These are their new ombre blushes. They're so beautiful and extremely pigmented, and they're like a blush slash highlighter in one. So you can either swirl them together or just pick up more of the darker side. I'm gonna pick up more of the blush side because I already have this illuminator on. And I'm going to apply it to my cheeks using a Sigma F05 brush. And I feel like this blush is actually translating really orange and bright, so I'm just picking up some of my Maybelline powder on that same brush and just kind of buffing the edges out so that the blush isn't so intense. Like I mentioned, these are super pigmented, so you don't need much. But the blush does match the orange or coppery tones in the Eyedeal Duo shadow that I use, so it's fine. Don't be worried that the blush is more towards the orange peach side and the eyes are purple. It's like a sunset. Really quickly, I'm going to go back and finish the eyes. I'm going to start by applying shadow number 16 from Morphe onto the lower lash line using a Sigma E52 brush. And then with that same brush, I'm going to pick up Morphe shadow number 71 called Secretive and apply it even closer to the lash line. So just push it along the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna blend the outer edges so they look really smooth and crisp with a Smith 230 brush. So I really wanna create that sort of V shape on the outer eye. So it's just a clean brush and I'm just kind of refining the shape a little more. I'm also gonna use that Dior highlighter, my favorite, in the inner corners of the eyes for a nice little highlight. I'm using a clean Smith 253 brush. And now I'm gonna fill in my entire waterline, lower and upper, using my L'Oreal Carbon Black Extra Intense Liquid Pencil Eyeliner. This step is optional. If you feel like the black is too much, feel free to leave the waterlines with no eyeliner at all. This is by far my favorite eyeliner ever. Drugstore, high-end, it doesn't matter. It's my favorite. It's just so black and so creamy. And when you go to wash your makeup off, it's still there, so you definitely need a really powerful makeup remover to get this guy off. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. I always save this step for last because I feel like if I do it first, a lot of shadow and other products tend to stick to the brow hairs. I'm gonna load up on a ton of IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. And this mascara does such a good job at really amping up my lashes. I don't even know if I wanna do false lashes. I think I'm gonna apply the false lashes. I'm glad I ended up going with the lashes because I feel like they really complete the look. These are the Flutter Dimensional Lashes in the style Paris. And now I'm just gonna finish this look off with a lip, and I'm debating between these two brand new Dose of Colors lipsticks. This one is Cork and this one's Mood. They both really fit the look. One's just gonna be darker and one's going to be more towards the brown neutral side. Maybe I'll swatch both of these to give you guys two different options. So I'm gonna start off with Cork. And here is the final look using a Mood liquid lipstick. Really quickly, I'm gonna swatch the other two colors for you guys so you can see all four of the new colors. This one right here is Desert Suede. It's a pretty taupey nude. And then the other one is Chocolate Wasted, which is a brown liquid lipstick. Alright guys, that completes this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. So I see you in the next one. Bye guys.
Here we go.